because of the hormones, and he hasn't been fucking any random people, so he hasn't had any type of an outlet. And so he still hasn't told Trey about the baby. And so Eva tells him, I'll be there with you when you tell him. So Gideon goes to meet Corinne, and her reasoning for releasing this book is basically she wants to show proof that he did love her, because he had told her, I never really loved you. And he was like, this isn't the way to do that, and she was like, if you want me to let you go, I have to do this. And he told her, if you do this, you will turn lovely memories into something I hate, and you don't want to do that. And so he left there and then flipped out in the car, because everyone knew his weakness was Eva, and so they were coming for her. And he then offers Mark a position. He offers Mark that position with Cross Industries. He's going to give him double pay plus bonuses. So he's giving Mark until Monday to give him an answer. So then Eva has a sit down with her mother at her home, the mother's home. They're doing with the wedding planner, and she lets her mother know the not the designer, the coordinator, the wedding coordinator was like, hey, like what color, like what theme color did you want? And she wanted red, because that's her and her boo's color. And her mother's all, that's all gaudy, that's all da 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 da. And she's like, this isn't your wedding, this is mine. And she said, matter of fact, for the ceremony, because the woman had asked about the budget, and she said it's only going to be $50,000. And her mother looked at her like, what? And she's like, yeah, for the ceremony, just $50,000. She's like, now the reception, she said, Mom, you can have that, do whatever you want, but the wedding, my dad's going to pay for that. And of course she tried to talk her out of it, but again, this is her wedding. Let her fucking be. This is not about you. And she's all like, I just dreamed up, bitch. This is not about you. This is about her. And if she don't want this massive wedding, respect that. Stop trying to, you've already had, and the woman's been married 3 times. And every time she did it pretty nice and big. So you've already had the dream wedding. Who cares what you wanted for her? She doesn't want that. So her mother's a jerk anyway. So I'm not even shocked with her behavior. So she leaves from there. Trey calls her. He's somewhere downtown, and he's like, are you busy? And she's like, no, I just left my mom. Like, what's up? And he basically wants to talk about Carrie, because the night before they dropped the bomb on Trey about the baby. So she goes to meet up with Trey, and they talk, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And she was honest with him. She said, I don't know what to tell you to do either, but you need to do what's best for you. She's like, I do know if you left him, it would hurt him. It would almost destroy him. She said, I'm not trying to guilt you into staying with him, but I do think you need to know that it's going to affect him. He's not just going to go on and be okay. He really does love you. It's just, this is a lot to ask of you as well. And if you can't do it, then you need to do what's best for you as well. And she's like, I know Carrie probably wouldn't want me to say this, but I got to be honest, because I wouldn't want someone trapped in something they don't want to be in because they're trying to survive it for someone else. So I thought that was great advice. Ann Lucas apparently was walking past her apartment. This hoe is crazy. These people are just crazy. Like, I don't get it. Like, at some point, let it go. Okay? Clearly he fucked you the best ever. We get that, the way she was trying to describe it. But let it go. Like, I think that's the whole problem with this. This whole time, no one has been able to hurt Gideon. None of them. And when they finally saw a way to hurt him, now they're trying to pounce on poor Eva. You know what I mean? That's fucked up. But of course she gets away fast. They don't catch her. Then she goes up, of course. She tells Gideon, she calls him, tells him, Ann was just here. And Gideon was like, the fuck? Like, this bitch just won't go away. And he just he told her the truth of why he did what he did to her. He was like, honestly, Ann reminded me of Hugh. She had a lot of his mannerisms. And that's why he used to do her that way. These, very, like harsh fucks. Like him and Eva fuck hard, but they're like, the way he used to do, I think he was trying to work out that shit in his head from Hugh. It was like he was able to hurt Hugh through the sister, as well as hurt the Dr. Lucas, the husband, since he lied. So that's really what that affair was about. So then there was the surprise, because he had told her he had a surprise for her, and it was a sex swing. So they had a great time with that. So the next day he tells her about the offer to Mark. Eva loses it. She is pissed and tells him she needs space. I can't do. She's like, if you would have just given me time. She's like, I eventually would have come to work for you. She was like, all you had to do was just give me time. That's it. Because she had already wanted to start working with Cross Industries because they, do a lot of help with people in need and things like that. And she's like, I was already on that journey. All you had to do was just let me do it. But you decided, nope. I'm going to take it into my hands and I'm going to force you to do it. She's like, so now either I'm out of a job with Waterman and Lehman, or I got to come work for you. And I really don't want to work for you. Not at this time. So she told him she needs some space because she feels like, I keep trying with you. I keep trying and I'm giving everything. And I can't. So she said, I need a few days. That man spazzed. Because he was like, oh, shoot. Like, she's going to leave me. But it's like, well, you can't hold on to something so fucking tight and then think that this isn't a possibility. You're in a partnership. And you treat it like it's a dictatorship. And you can't do that. And you know how much her independence means to her. And you took it from her again. So it's a problem. So he's just in shambles. She has lunch with Mark and Steven, I think, the next day or a few days later. And she tells Mark, because Mark accepted he was going to accept the promotion from Cross to his company. And we find out, remember I talked about Landcorp earlier. Well, Landcorp is run by a guy named Andrew Landcorp, whose father was hurt and affected by the Ponzi scheme that Gideon's dad did, right? So this guy has spent his whole career trying to basically avenge that and take Gideon down. So they had requested for Mark to do the Landcorp deal because they were trying to get to Eva, basically. Right? So Waterman and Lehman, like, they're partners, right? That's who owns the company. Those are your partners. When you have a major type of a launch, the partners normally handle that. But they asked for a junior person to take care of their account. And they were like, that was their stipulation. He has to do it. Because if he doesn't do it, we're going to take the account away. So right there, there's an issue, and Gideon was correct in his analysis of, which is why he had more than one reason, but that was why he wanted her to come and work for him, because he knew this is an issue. The guy's trying to get to me. Again, Eva's the person he can use. So Eva lets Mark know, if you stay with Waterman and Lee, I can't work on that account. That's not going to happen. It's a conflict. I won't do it. He respected that. He said, well, if I go to Cross, are you going to come with me? She said, I don't know. I'm not going to promise you that, but I'm not going to close the door on it either. So they go through that. Eva, of course, she stays with her mother for like a few days, probably like a good 4 days. Her and Carrie, she just needed some time away. He texts her constantly, and she doesn't really, she may text him back sometimes, I love you too, but she just really is trying to figure out, can I live the rest of my life like this? And she's feeling like she can't do it. He calls her one night, and she can tell he's had one of those nightmares, and he finally tells her a dream. And I was like, finally, shit, it took you long enough. But he also, I forgot to say this back, and this was kind of super important. When she left and said I needed space, he had an appointment, I want to say that next day. He went to Dr. Peterson, and he was trying to get Dr. Peterson to, like, listen, you got to get Eva in here. Like, you need to call her. He's like, we can't work it out if we're not together. He's like, this is she's going to leave me. Like, he was spiraling. I felt bad for him, even though he brought it on himself. But I did feel bad for him because he was spiraling. And finally, well, before that, the doctor told him, he's like, the purpose of a marriage is a partnership. It's not meant for you to carry the load yourself. And she's been willing to help you with the load, and you won't let her. You keep trying to take everything and do it yourself, and you're driving her away. You've got to change. You can't do that. And he finally opens up, and he tells the therapist that for a year he was violated by his therapist. So I was like, well, let the healing begin. About freaking time. Oh. So, back to the present. So then he's telling Eva about the dream. And basically, they're at that house in North Carolina. And he's walking with his dad on the beach. And then he sees Eva. But she's walking away from him. And he's trying to get to her, but it's like he's in quicksand and he can't get to her. And then all of a sudden, his dad's voice changes from his dad's to Hugh's. And then it just, oh my gosh, it was pretty much a nightmare. And so he wakes up screaming, and that's when he had called her. And so then she had asked him to meet. She's like, are you hungry? And he said, not really. And she's like, well, I'm going to go to the diner on such and such. And he's like, okay, I'll meet you there. And so they go, and they have a long talk, and they are going to try and work it out, which made me happy. And they've also decided, this was before this too, I forgot, sometimes I forget. It's just a lot to remember, okay? She wants to have the wedding at the house in North Carolina. And of course her mother was all like, no, we can't do that. She's like, again, this is my wedding. That's where we're going to have it. That place means a lot to us. Again, we can take care of lodging for everybody. That's no issue. But I want to have the ceremony there. And so I was like, that'll be nice and sweet. So they're going to try and work it out. And I'm like, okay, good. But I mean, at least now he started communicating. He's talking. And that is the most we can, this is a huge step for him. So I was happy. We have one more book left in this series. I'm kind of sad. I really do love this series. And it is called One With You. And that's going to be the final one. We'll dig into that one next week. Let me know what you guys thought of this week's book, Captivated by You. What part stood out to you? Drop down in the comments, the discussion board. As always, I truly thank you for your support, and thank you for tuning in to the Always Reading Book Club.